Hey, everyone. Of course, it's just me and me coming back to you with another live video. And today we're going to be getting into the recap of family and or finance. This is my first time actually doing this particular live in reference to family and finance, but I just wanted to go over and recap this last episode. Of course, this was season 3, episode 10. On this particular episode, we met Tiffany and Josh. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into it. Um, Everyone, please, before we hop into the video, please like, share, and subscribe. I would love to hear your feedbacks, comments. Also, you can always email me at klubeauty, which will be down in the description, if you have any questions and or would like to come on the platform. So let's hop right into it. So, of course, we meet Tiffany and Josh. Tiffany and Josh met like 10 and a half years ago. They met in Los Angeles. Um, they met in Los Angeles. Josh explains that he was walking out of the barbershop when he seen Tiffany pass. Tiffany says that she was looking a mess, but she had already told her friend that if, somebody tried to talk to me today, me looking like this, of course, that's going to be the one. So they met, of course, they exchanged IG and they kind of went from there. Um, Moving forward, they got married back in 2017. They were married. Um, Tiff said in the last 5 years, Josh has changed a lot. She's seen a lot of changes in him. She said that he is pretty much has became, a little distant from her, and she's not feeling the love and affection that she once had felt in the actual marriage. The show goes on, and they're on their way to the house, and it appears that Josh kind of he appears to be a little sick. He said that his stomach is hurting and he's not feeling too well. So of course at that time, Tiffany kind of goes on to say, every time it's something for me, you always get sick. You're never there for me. It's like you always trying to pull me, hold me back. And I was like, okay, that's a little selfish, for her to say. Clearly you could see he was sick. He was sweating and slumped over, and you could see clearly that he wasn't feeling well. And she kind of like brushed it off, like, get it together. And so they go on to um arrive at the home. Once they arrive at the home, of course they go in. They admire the house. The house was beautiful. I mean, what took them back was the kitchen. The kitchen was really, nice. The setup, and they embraced, and you could see and you could tell they love one another. It's just somewhere along the line the disconnect has came. So they go on. The host actually come in and welcome them, which is of course Tracy. She welcomes them into the home. They go in to speak with Tracy. And of course, Tracy is, asking a little bit in reference of the history of their marriage. They go on to tell, and before they could kind of get into it, Tiffany's telling Josh, sit up, straighten yourself up, and Tracy kind of asks, is everything okay? And she says, well, he say he's sick, but he always does this. And Tracy then says, well, leave him alone. If he's sick, let him be sick. Let him straighten up, for himself, because you can kind of see that you're pushing. And she said what he's feeling is normal. He's having anxiety. It's like you could tell he's having anxiety. He's probably nervous. Um, which you could tell. I mean, with most men, they kind of hide their feelings. They hide what they're really, really going through. And then later on, of course, in the episode, we're gonna find out that of course they've had a lot of trauma in the last few years that has caused that has kind of caused the kind of disconnect with them. So it kind of goes on, and the host asks, where did things take a turn? And they kind of go into it that they had lost a child. The child was born prematurely. If I'm not mistaken, she was 7 months when she had given birth to their son. Their son was born without any kidneys. Josh later explains that basically it's like he couldn't understand as to why would a child lose their life before they could even walk. You could just tell that the hurt and the pain is still there, and it's playing a great big part on what they're actually going through. Josh also goes on to say that he actually held him as he took his last breath. So again, it I can't even imagine, how he's feeling. But again, we will, we'll kind of deep and dive into, of course, that could be a lot of the issues that they are facing here today. So then it goes on to say that 2 weeks after their son passed, his mom passed. We later learned that he and his mom was really, really close. He stated that after his son's death, him and his mom used to talk every day on his way to work. She would give him words of encouragement, and he wasn't there when his mom passed. So losing your son, and then 2 weeks later, you're losing someone else that has played a big, big role in your life and was helping you through the healing process of losing your child, and now she's gone. They um then they explain that since the loss of their son, Tiffany has given birth to two other children. I think they're like 1 and 2 years old, so they're like a year apart. She also went on to explain that she has a 10-year old, and I think she also has two older children that will be also meeting them there at the home. Um, Josh has a 14-year-old that I want to say lives in Louisiana that will also be accompanying them there at the house as well. So we will get a chance to meet her as well. And Tiffany goes on to say that in the marriage, she feels as though she gives 100% and Josh gives about 20. So she's saying that pretty much she feels that everything, the weight of the world is on her shoulder. So I can just imagine, because not only did he lose a child, she lost a child as well. And it seems as though, although he is saying that I'm sorry, that he has to be strong for her, it seems as though she's feeling as though I'm having to be strong, because she explains that he sits around and he play video games and smoke weed all day, and he never, really connect with her. So she is left to feel as though she's having to run her business, be a parent, be a wife, all the while dealing with all of the trauma that she's been through as well. So she is feeling as though, she's by herself in the marriage. They go on to the show where Tiffany family arrives at the home first. Tiffany family arrives there at the house, and um, when Josh arrived, when Tiffany family arrives, of course, it's her mother and her two daughters. I want to say one of her daughters, name is Tajana, and then the other one is Soraya. And so when they come in, of course, they're admiring the house. Josh at that time is still kind of laying around. He's still not feeling well. Tiffany actually goes on to tell her mother and her daughters that Josh hadn't been feeling well. The Tracy also stated that Josh was sick mentally. Now, I don't know if I missed something. She did say he was experiencing some anxiety, but I don't ever recall her diagnosing him with being mental. But okay, Tiffany. So her mom says, well, he gonna have to get it together. Oh, okay. So the mom goes in and speak with Josh and asks Josh, "Do you want your marriage? Do you love your wife? You know, because you need to get it together. You gonna have to stand up and get it together." And I'm looking at it like, okay, mama, I see where your daughter get it from, because of course she's going through things and of course she's trying and she's fighting, but at the same time, it's like y'all are coming across as a little pushy and insensitive because at the same time, have anybody said, okay, are you okay? Do you need some medical attention? Do you think we should get you some Pepto Bismol? I mean, what do you think? What do you need? So Josh says that he loved his wife and he wants the marriage to work. So he explains, I'm trying, I'm trying. So later we get to meet Josh's family. They arrive there at the home again. Josh's family, it's his brother Aaron, his sister, um I want to say his sister name was Jada, and his daughter Maya. So they're there, and basically, they're asking, how do you feel about Tiffany and Josh? And the daughter actually said organized chaos. And I'm like, girl, I got to use that. Organized chaos. I know that's right. Um, the sister said that basically it's, the communication is off. The brother goes on to say they're not understanding of one another. So then they pretty much ask those same questions to Tiffany's family, and they describe it as all the mom explained, and it describe it as oil and water, that they're always arguing about dumb things that's really, really not important. So of course Josh and Tiffany goes back to Tracy, where they meet back up with her, and Tracy goes on to tell them that she would like for them to do some tasks. um, Josh will be responsible for cooking with Tiffany's family and kind of pointing out some things that may have took a turn. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, some things that may have took a turn, and point out the things that kind of broke the marriage down. Um, they kind of broke the marriage down, and then Tiffany is, basically responsible for pretty much, if I want to say, mm, Tiffany actually has the task of, uh, Tiffany has the task of pretty much kind of just going over their relationship and things to that nature. So then they go on, they break off into the different groups. Of course, Josh meets up with Tiffany's family, and he starts pretty much giving a timeline of the events that took place in their relationship. And basically he goes on to say, um the death of his child, it took a toll on him. He felt as though everything was ripped apart. Then when his mom passed, it just basically, it kind of just took over him, and he didn't know how to deal with it. And again, I can't even imagine, the pain and the grief of, him having to deal with two very important people in his life, you know, just losing them, it I just can't imagine. So Tiffany's in with his family, and pretty much when you look at it, they, Tiffany seems to be going down the timeline the same way Josh is, which wasn't her task. But again, I guess she has gained this nature of, let me go ahead and take charge, because if I don't do it, it won't get done. And I sometimes I find myself being guilty of that as well. Especially if you were single for a certain part of time before you got married, you tend to have this certain independence about yourself that you tend to take the lead and go ahead and just do whatever have to be done, because you feel as though if I don't do it, it won't get done or it won't be done right. So let me go ahead and do what I need to do. So Tiffany tells that, of course, in 2016, when the passing of their son, Josh changed a lot. Um, Given 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks to a month, his mom passed, and it just really kind of made things worse. Tiffany states that she is always trying to build him up, but it's just like, always, it's just hard, to break down that wall. Tiffany goes on to tell Maya that, after, your brother passed, um, your dad looked to you, as his life, as his joy. And then um, when you didn't call or you didn't come, it's like he had lost you. And that caused a lot of problems in our marriage. Stop, pause. She's 14 years old. And I can't even think of how you thought that this was okay for you now to place the blame of the way your marriage is going and place the blame on a 14-year-old child that, mind you, live elsewhere. She doesn't even live with you. And Maya goes on to say that, you know, she was 9. She was 9 years old when her sibling passed. She didn't even know the child. Basically, at that time, she had just, not too long ago met her dad, because she met her dad when she was like 8 or 9 years old. So they didn't really have a relationship. So she always felt as though he didn't love her, like she was a mistake. And even with her expressing her feelings, and you could see that she was very emotional about what she was saying, because again, she's a child. um Tiffany still just sat there like, yeah, he loved you, and he just needed you to be there. I don't know who this child's mother is. I'm pretty sure she watched the show, being her child was going to be a part of the show. But me and Tiffany would have had some choice words, because to me, you doing too much. You placing the blame of your marriage being in turmoil on a 14-year-old child that this man hardly know. So you definitely probably don't really know. And I'm trying to figure out, how did you expect for her to reach out to him, and she's a child? I mean, come on. So then it kind of goes on where she goes on to talk um to Josh's brother and sister, and both of them pretty much stated that they see the fight in Tiffany, and they understand that she's tired. They both agree that the communication should need to be better. The affection needs to be there. And so Josh's sister goes on to say, so this is it. Basically, at this point, it's either get it together or move forward with the paperwork. So pretty much Tiffany was like, at this point, yes. So they kind of go back, and of course, everybody come back together. They eat and kind of gather around, laughing and talking, congregating. Later on, Tiffany goes on to express to Josh how her, Maya brought up some things to her, and she had questions that was asked, that she was asked that she wasn't ready for. And she went on to tell Josh what Maya said, as far as, her feeling unwanted and unloved, and like, she didn't love him. And he then goes into saying, well, I tried. I tried. And, she never reached out to me. So then, they go over that when he did, kind of meet up with Maya again. They, he tells her, you wasn't there. He went on to explain that your brother died, and so Soraya's birthday, which is the wife's daughter, her birthday passed. You didn't call and XYZ, and I thinking then you just as bad as your wife. Like both of y'all are nuts when it comes to this situation. Like, is anybody caring? Like, this is a child. And at this point, she's acting more mature than the both of you. Because I mean, as she stated, y'all are organized chaos. And she isn't lying, because this is very chaotic. And so Tracy actually, kind of called him out on it after, I'm assuming, she's seen recordings of everything that transpired, and she let him know, y'all are so wrong. And she first pointed out to Tiffany that you had no right blaming that child for what you're experiencing in your marriage. She has nothing to do with that. And she said that as a parent, children, you know, they might can do things, but never look at them as being the cause of what is going wrong, because they're children. And what they're experiencing, Maya shouldn't even really be aware of. Maya shouldn't even know anything about that, because she's a child, and a child again that doesn't even live there. So she pointed out to her, and I'm glad that she pointed it out to her to let her know you are wrong. And so then they go on to where you see where Josh did, meet up with Maya. He apologized, for, making it seem as though it was her fault, and, what was going on. He expressed how much he loved her, and he has always tried to have a relationship with her. And they kind of go off, and they then Tracy explains to them that they'll be meeting with what she says to be a trauma counselor, because they have had a lot of traumatic things going on that has played a part in some of what they're experiencing, and maybe what has caused the friction in the marriage. So they later go on to meet Dr. Brown. Now, Dr. Brown kind of goes over with them, everything pretty much that they had kind of spoke with I'm sorry, not Dr. Brown, Dr. Black. I am so sorry. Dr. Black explained to them, kind of go over and tell me some history. They go over, they tell her the history of the relationship, what they feel has been kind of the downfall in the relationship. um, she asked, Josh to kind of explain, some things to her. He stated that he has, he's feeling really down and he's lost. He said that, people tend to say when they're gone, it's no more pain, it's no more suffering. But what about the people that are here left behind that is suffering? And Dr. Black, looks over to Tiffany and she said, did you hear what your husband said? Are you listening to him? And Tiffany says yes, that she understood. And she said, what did you hear? I mean, what did you get out of that? Tiffany said that I feel that he's mourning. Like he's mourning. And, you know, he then goes in to say that it's days that he feel as though he just may as well go with his mom. So it tends to be like where maybe he's having some thoughts, and Tiffany kind of, it kind of knocked her off guard, and they even had to take a break for a second, because you could tell that really hurt deep. And Dr. Black asked him, "Do you have thoughts of that?" And he was like, "Well, I don't really want to hurt myself." He said, "I just feel so lost." And so Dr. Black goes on to say, "It's time that we put a name to what this is." And she said, "The name is depression. You are actually going into depression." And she then noticed, what was going on with Tiffany. Tiffany states that basically what triggered her was because she feels as though she should have known. She should have seen the signs that he was depressed. She says that she feels like she has literally kicked him while he has been down, and that was never her intention. Um, that she loves her husband, but she does, she understands. Dr. Black asked them to actually kind of go into face each other and tell each other what they expect and what they're looking for. Josh started out by saying communication. Tiffany in turn says, "I would like for you to communicate more as well." Then he goes on to say, "More time. I need to spend more time." She says, "I need empathy." He then goes on to say communication. No, I'm sorry, understanding. And she says, "I also don't want to feel as though you've closed me out." And so they agreed, they hugged. Josh also stated that he, planned on, seeking therapy to help him go. And Dr. Black stated that, you know, the both of you, because Dr. Black noticed that as Joshua was explaining himself, Tiffany cut him off. And Dr. Black said, "You have to stop doing that. You want him to be more affectionate and you want him to say how he's feeling. And when he starts to do that, you cut him off." And so it's like at that point, you didn't cut the communication off. You asked for communication. He's communicating and you automatically just cut it off. And so she said, I feel as though the both of you need some type of counseling. Individual counseling and marriage counseling as well would not hurt. So then they go back, and they all discuss. Josh states that he wants a relationship with Maya, that he would like, to build a better relationship. Josh also had explained earlier in the scene to Tiffany's children that if they were to get a divorce, pretty much he'll be like Kanye and move next door because he's not going nowhere. So that was discussed, and the daughters kind of make joked about it when they all came together. And her daughter let her know, pretty much Josh said he was going to be Kanye because he was moving next door. And Josh goes on to say, whether we're together or not, I'm always a phone call away. I love you. I will always be here for you. And pretty much from that point, they meet back with Dr. Tracy. Well, not Dr. Tracy, but Tracy. They meet back with Tracy. And pretty much Tracy, asks, how did it go with Dr. Black? And they stated that, they learned a lot. It was discovered that Josh has depression and they were going to seek help. And so at that time and at that point is when Tracy pretty much asked, "So where are we now?" And pretty much Josh made it clear, if divorce is what she want, then it's nothing else that I can do. And Tiffany stated that no, that wasn't what she was wanting, that she want to make it work. um I think in the recap a little later, it kind of went on to say that Josh was working on himself. He had not yet started therapy, whereas Tiffany had. So it looks as though this marriage did survive. Um, Tiffany tore up the paperwork she had drawn up for Josh. It seems as though Josh and Maya, kind of mended, some of the pain. I can only hope and pray that the relationship is still, surviving and that they have, created that bond. Um, Overall, the show was really really good. Um, Pretty much to me, what I got out of this is we can experience things in our life that can affect relationships, friendships, you on your job. And it doesn't hurt to go and get help. It wouldn't hurt. It doesn't, it doesn't hurt, to go and find someone to speak to, when you're feeling overwhelmed. Um, to me, I don't feel as though divorce is always the right answer to fix it. Work. This is a vow you took before God, and everything is not going to be peachy cream every day. But if you see where there's some repair that can be done, I think that that is the ultimate. So I'm glad that they were able to come to this conclusion. Again, like, share, subscribe, leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Please also let me know if you have any suggestions for future recaps or future lives. Also, I would like to hear. Is this something that you would like to continue on with these episodes of Family or Fiance? I really kind of decided to do this one because this was a married edition. It was something new that came out, and I really enjoyed it. So again, I want to take the time again to thank each and every one of you for watching, for being here. Hopefully you're all subscribed. If you're not subscribed, then what are you waiting for? It's free. Hit the like button, comment me, email me. Also, don't forget to go over to Blessed Wicks Candle Co. To shop any of your home fragrance needs. Again, I definitely want to take the time to say God bless. Stay lit and stay blessed. Until next time, bye.